Hey, what's up, everybody? True Boxing here, and thank you for coming back to Get Hit with the Truth. So today we are doing the March boxing schedule, as we're going to go over all the fights that you can view in the month of March on the various networks and platforms. So before we get into that, if you could smash the like button, leave a comment, or subscribe to the channel, I really do appreciate any and all support that I can get as I continue to build my channel here. So I know I missed March 2nd already. I apologize for that. The Kolmatov, Ford, and the two title fights between Kolmatov and Ford and Luis Alberto Lopez and Raya Abe that took place on ESPN, as they were both title fights. But the rest of the month, I still wanted to update you guys and get you the rest of the month and what's going on, because there's a lot of action coming up. So we kick it off with this Thursday, March 7th. On ESPN, you're going to see former world title challenger Stephen Butler from Canada battling Steve Rolls. Both these guys never really hit it big, but they've both challenged for world titles. Butler fought he fought Ryota Murata a few years back, got stopped in 5, and then last year he challenged Janibek Alamanhalai and got destroyed in 2 rounds. He's taking on Steve Rolls, who's been in the ring with Triple G. Most recently, he lost to Edgar Berlanga. So, this guy should be a decent bout right here if you're interested and you just want to watch some fights. I'm not sure if I'll catch this one or not, but Thursday, March 7th, ESPN is going to feature those two former world title challengers. Then Friday, DAZN pay-per-view, maybe the biggest card of the month, arguably. And there's 4 good fights on this big card. It starts at, if you're in the United States, this card is kicking off early in the morning. I think the whole card starts around 8 a.m. on the West Coast. But it's going to be a good one from Saudi Arabia, as it's going to be main evented by Anthony Joshua, the former 2-time unified heavyweight champion, battling Francis Ngannou, the former UFC heavyweight champion, coming off of his fight with Tyson Fury. A lot of people want to see this one. Going to be good in the main event. Can't wait to see it. Then in the co-main event, another great matchup. You got Zhilei Zhang, the WBO interim heavyweight champion of the world, coming off of his back-to-back dominating performances over Joe Joyce, is going to take on former WBO champion Joseph Parker in a big-time fight, as Parker's coming off of his career best win, his decision victory over Deontay Wilder. So a big-time matchup right here. Can't wait to see this one. Zhang and Parker. This one could steal the show. It's going to be a good fight. Very, very much so looking forward to it. Also on the card, you have the WBC Featherweight Championship on the line when reigning champion Ray Vargas makes the first defense of his belt against undefeated mandatory challenger Nick Ball of the United Kingdom. Another good matchup right here. Ray Vargas hasn't fought in a little over a year since suffering his first defeat when he moved up to 130 and challenged for the title against O'Shaquie Foster. But he's staying at 126 now and wants to move forward, taking on the undefeated Ball, who's coming off of a big-time win over Isaac Dogboe, the former champ. So Ball's pumped up. That's going to be a good featherweight title fight right there. And that's going to be the third in 6 days. Third featherweight title fight, as Kolmatov and Ford and Lopez and Abe fought. So the featherweights are getting in that work. And then the other card that's worth noting is Ismail Madrimov and Magomed Kurbanov, both undefeated super welterweights at 154, are going to collide for the vacant WBA title there, as Jermell Charlo recently was stripped of the belt and declared champion in recess. So now these two guys are going to collide for the vacant title. Both undefeated, both have something to prove, and are trying to make a splash here in the 154-pound division. So those are 4 good fights on March 8th on DAZN pay-per-view. Make sure you check that out. It's going to be pretty solid action on that card. Then on, let me see here. Then on March 16th on DAZN, we have William Zepeda, the undefeated lightweight contender, is going to battle Maxie Hughes, the veteran, and a double final eliminator, as they're fighting to become #1 contender in 2 different organizations. I think it's the WBA and the IBF. They are colliding to try to become the #1 mandatory challenger in both of those. Winner likely to land potentially Tank Davis or Vasily Lomachenko or George Kambosos, because Lomachenko and Kambosos are competing for the vacant title in May. So this is a big time matchup right here on March 16th. On the undercard, you got Floyd Schofield, who's a lightweight contender on the rise, 16-0, 12 knockouts, is staying active against a guy named Suero. And then you have a featherweight title eliminator as Victor Morales, 19-0, 9 knockouts, is going to battle Reynaldo Nunez, who's 19-0 with 13 knockouts. They are fighting in a WBA featherweight eliminator to get in line or potentially fight for the title next if Raymond Ford follows through and moves up to 130 pounds. So that's a significant fight taking place on DAZN. It's a significant card right here on DAZN on March 16th. So you definitely want to check that out. That's going to be some good action right there. Excuse me one second. Then on March 23rd, DAZN is returning again. As you're going to see undefeated Dalton Smith, who's an undefeated fighter at 140 pounds, contender on the rise, is going to take on former 3-time world title challenger Jose Zepeda, who has turned into the gatekeeper at 140 now. Zepeda has lost fights in consecutive years, losing to Regis Prograis as he challenged for the vacant title in 2022, and then got cleanly outboxed one-sidedly against Richardson Hitchens last year. Now he's taking on Dalton Smith, and Dalton Smith, this is going to be his coming to the party type fight. Zepeda is a consummate gatekeeper now, so it's going to be a significant fight on March 23rd on DAZN. Make sure you check that out. Friday, March 29th on ESPN, you got a good card coming your way. Former 2-division world champion Oscar Valdez battles former world title challenger Liam Wilson in the main event. This fight is very significant. It's billed right now as a lightweight contest, but I thought it was going to be a junior lightweight 130 super featherweight eliminator to get in line for the WBO title that Emmanuel Navarrete is likely going to end up vacating. But we'll see. But either way, it's a good matchup right there between those two. On the undercard, you got Estrada, a minimum weight undisputed women's title fight, as Estrada is going to fight Valle. And then also on the undercard, you got lightweight contender Raymond Muratalla, the undefeated knockout artist, is going to battle some guy named Quintana as he stays busy. So it should be some good action on Friday, March 29th on ESPN. Then on March 30th, you got a couple different cards to talk about. We'll start off with the DAZN card that is going to see, that is main evented by Arsen Goulamirian, the undefeated WBA cruiserweight champion at 200 pounds, as he is set to defend his title against former super middleweight champion Gilberto Ramirez, who is one fight in at cruiserweight and wants to become a world champion. So a good matchup right here. Really looking forward to this one for the WBA cruiserweight championship of the world at 200 pounds. Then on Prime Video, free Prime Video, this is a prelim fight, but it's on free Prime Video. You got undefeated middleweight contender Elijah Garcia is gonna battle former contender Kyron Davis. Kyron Davis been in the ring with Anthony Durrell. He fought to a draw with him. He showed a lot of heart in a TKO loss to David Benavidez a couple years back. Kyron Davis is a hog. He's a beast. Always shows a lot of heart, comes straight forward, but Elijah Garcia wants to make his name solid at 160 pounds middleweight. He's already in my top 10. Really looking forward to this one. That's the prelim to the pay-per-view card that's taking place on Amazon Prime later on that night, and that's going to be a good card right there. Main evented by undefeated super welterweight champ at 154 Tim Tszyu, as he competes against former unified welterweight champion Keith Thurman in a catchweight fight of 55 pounds, as the WBO would not sanction Keith Thurman as a contender to their championship. So Tim Tszyu and Thurman are going to meet at 155. Now, there is a caveat on this one. If Tim Tszyu were to lose to Keith Thurman in this fight, the WBO title would be stripped from Tim Tszyu. So he needs to win in order to hold on to his belt and keep moving forward at 154. That's the main event. That's going to be a decent one. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens there in that fight. In the co-main event, Rolly Romero, the 140-pound junior welterweight champ, is going to battle former lightweight world title challenger Isaac Cruz in an all-action fight right there. I'm looking forward to that matchup. I think it's going to be good. Rolly is only one fight in, really, at 140 pounds in a fight that he got a gift stoppage victory over Ishmael Barroso to become the WBA champion. Battling Isaac Cruz, who's making his 140-pound debut. That's going to be an all-action fight in the co-main. I'm looking forward to it. Then also on the card, another world title. Erislandy Lara, the reigning middleweight champion, is going to make a mandatory defense of his belt against Australian contender Michael Zarafa. So that should be an interesting fight between two older veteran fighters right there for the WBA middleweight championship. And then kicking the pay-per-view card off is another world title fight, the vacant 154-pound super welterweight title, as Sebastian Fundora, the former interim champion, bouncing back off of a brutal and upsetting knockout loss to what's his name? Jesus, I'm drawing a blank. To Brian Mendoza last year, is going to battle a guy named Sergey Boyachuk for the vacant title. This guy's a knockout artist. This is going to be a very, very interesting bout for the 154-pound title. So in terms of the biggest card of the year, it's tough to say. I definitely think overall the strongest card is the Friday, March 8th, the Zone pay-per-view card, headlined by Anthony Joshua and Francis Ngannou, and the Zhilei Zhang and Joseph Parker fight. And then you got the two title fights, Ray Vargas and Nick Ball, and Madrimov against Kurbanov for the vacant WBA junior middleweight title at 154. The second best card, but it's close, is the Tim Tszyu Keith Thurman card, because there's three title fights on that one on the undercard. That's going to be good. In terms of the overall cards, I'd say the next best one might be the December 16th William Zepeda and Maxie Hughes card. But to be honest with you, if I was coming into this month clean, I probably would say the fight card that just happened with the two featherweight title fights probably would have been third best. 5-1 in terms of the best fights of the month. Very, very tough to say, to be honest with you, in terms of the biggest and best fights, because Jesus, man, I would say number five for me would probably be the in terms of significance, probably the Rolly Romero and Isaac Cruz fight, just because it's going to be an all-action fight for a title at 140, and you know the winner is going to get a decent matchup later on in the year, set up a decent fight. So I'd say that's number 5 for me right now. Number 4, and again, this is not easy to determine these ones. Number 4, I'm going to go with Arsen Goulamirian and Arsen Goulamirian against Gilberto Ramirez for the WBA cruiserweight title at 200 pounds. That's a good matchup right there. A lot of significance at cruiserweight, and I'm really looking forward to it. That's on March 30th on DAZN. Number 3 on the month, I'm going with Tim Tszyu and Keith Thurman, because Tim Tszyu's got to keep it rolling. Keith Thurman's a big name, and you know, obviously Tim Tszyu's a sizable favorite, but Keith Thurman can box, and he might be able to surprise us with a strong performance here. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this one shakes out. And then number 2, and it's very tough to pick one over the other, but I'm going with the Zhilei Zhang Joseph Parker fight, because these two guys have a lot to prove against each other. Big time matchup on March 8th here. as it's on the undercard of the DAZN pay-per-view card. But the fight of the month has to be, in my opinion, Anthony Joshua and Francis Ngannou. Even though Joshua's coming in a sizable favorite, he's such a big name, and he can make for such big fights. And then taking on Francis Ngannou, and all he has to do is turn in another solid performance, even in defeat, and he's going to set himself up with another big fight. So there's a lot of good action in the month of March. Make sure you check it out. DAZN is going to be killer this month. And there's also a great deal on DAZN. If you're not a member right now, if you sign up for DAZN and you pay for the pay-per-view card this weekend between Joshua and Ngannou, you're only going to get charged $1 for the subscription for this month to DAZN, as long as you order the pay-per-view and become a member of DAZN. So I think that's a really good deal right there. Overall, it comes out to like $38.99, I think, that I paid yesterday, and I think it's totally worth it. So check everything out. I'm not sure if I'm paying for the pay-per-view later on in the month between Tszyu and Thurman. I might, it depends. But I'm really looking forward to the month of March. It's going to be big. And that is the March boxing schedule. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button, leave a comment, or subscribe to the channel. I appreciate any and all support. This is True Boxing. You've been hit with the truth.